Justin, and I hope you're enjoying my dad's videos. Make sure to share this video with family and friends, like and subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you get notified for all my dad's new videos. My social media will be tagged down below so you can follow it, and just remember, Jesus loves you.
Hi guys, just to let you know, we've got a brand new website, drcharlieward.com, where all our videos will be loaded over the next few weeks, and you'll be able to view all of those there's no charge for watching any of those. We've moved them all onto our own platform because all the doctor ones, which are very, very important, have been taken down, so we've now got control over those, but every single video we post will be free to watch. That's very important for you to know. The other thing is we're getting an awful lot of people asking us about gold and silver. And I've always been an advocate of gold and silver. And myself, I'm not in a position to give financial advice. I'm not qualified to do so. I'm just going to tell you what I've personally done. I've personally bought gold and silver, and I've used a company that I trust, which is shown below here. They've always looked after me well. And if you order from them more than £250 worth, you get a free 1 ounce silver coin, which is very, very nice. It's a nice little gift. But this is not an endorsement. This is just what I have done personally, and it's up to you. It's your choice. As I said, I'm not qualified to give the advice on financial advice, but it's just what I have done personally. And I hope you enjoy it. And I hope you enjoy watching all of my videos. Thank you.
Well, welcome. Well, welcome, guys. I've got one of my really good friends, Dean, back, who's been with me from day one. He's had my back. He's my wingman. He's a man that I trust implicitly. And when I started this journey with very, very few people follow me, I had my first trolls who came after me, and Dean was there to bat them away. And we communicated early on, and we connected immediately because we're both on the same page. All we're looking for is the truth. We're not out there trying to do anything for self-gratification. We're out there to try and find out the truth, because we lived in a world of lies that made absolutely no sense.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Thank you very much, Dean.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. I'd do it for anybody. You just happen to be such a big target.
Exactly, yeah. You very kindly brought Clan Mother along to me today.
Yes, and very, very happy to. By far the biggest influence connection I've come across through all of this. She's a very capable, very powerful, very important person in all of this, and she's going to explain a whole lot of why things are happening exactly the way they are. We all know that we have been poisoned. Our bodies have been poisoned through our food, our water, our music, our entire environment around us, social media, sports, absolutely every last thing. And we've got, well, Karen, I'll get into what she started treating you with before we started recording, but we're also going to show you some actual pictures of the end results of the poisoning, heavy metal poisonings. We're going to show you where in your body it ends up, what it looks like, the effects of it, how to identify it, and more importantly, how to get rid of it. And it's not very hard.
Okay.
It's kind of
the only steps I've been taking. The only steps I have been taking is zeolite, which I was told to get rid of the crap out of my body. So I keep that on my desk. But welcome anyway, Clan Mother. It's great to see you. We had a little chat beforehand, which was very constructive.
Thank you. I really appreciate your kind invitation. It's wonderful to be here. And I've had some wonderful experiences already with Dean over the last few months. And I reached out to him because I was actually monitoring some of the stuff with someone called Michael Jacko.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So being a Clan Mother, part of our roles, and a lot of people are not aware of what Clan Mothers, who we are and what we do. So just to elaborate, if I may, for just a moment, I'm the 13th White Bear International Clan Mother. I hold the Noah's Ark Treaty, or Octarian Treaty. And our ancestors, my mother's mothers, have been here with our blood type of AB positive for over 45,000 years. So I'm an actual hereditary. So always people think it's going to be something native. Well, the 13 original nations, as defined by the Hague Court, where a nation is run, the commander-in-chief is not the president of the United States, it's the clan mother.
Okay.
So we have 13 territories, and they were usurped a lot of times by the draconian or other reptilian or whatever Orion queens, of which are de facto, they're visitors. And so there were actual treaties that were made way before the Granada and stuff that go back, some of these to 3130 BC or 408 AD, called the Camel's Eye or Noah's Ark Treaty. So Noah's Ark is not what people think in the Bible at all. It really was the treaty between the original tribes here. And so we have 13 clan mothers with their territories. That's why America's empire is actually called Turtle Island. So anyone that's actually tribal will know that it's not the United States, Canada, and Mexico. We refer to it as Turtle Island because it looks like a turtle if you look at it from the space station, from our cosmic galactic viewpoints, because we come off the star nations. So part of the Andromeda Council, which would be Arcturian, and obviously Dakota. So it's not a state, it's an empire as well too. So I have all the Dakota stuff. So I'm really encouraging people, because there's been so much corruption, we'll just say, in many books. And there's many books that have been thrown out, but there really weren't any books. Even the original tribal books were 5,000 years that superseded and preceded the Pentateuch and all those sort of things. So even the Pseudepigraphica, Apotheka, Book of Enoch, all those type of things, all the different gospels, which means to go spell. But aside from that, we'll look at some of the original people's languages. So I'm going to encourage people, and you also, Charlie, if you haven't heard of Mr. Meredith Quinn, he was the legal law advisor for the Dakota Empire. And his grandmother was actually one of the last tribal mothers. So we actually had 560 tribes here on the continent. Okay. So they probably slaughtered, I'd say, when I got the books back in early 1997, 2000, 2006, that was, we had estimated over 100 million indigenous people and clans, tribes had been slaughtered and colonized. So it's not just, you know, what's happening at Tavistock or Africa or the Apache or whatever. Dean and I are up here. And like I said, I don't really refer to this as Canada. I refer to this as my mother's land. Okay. And in here, Saskatchewan would really be, it's a de facto map superimposed. You know, it's the banking, which is all fiat anyway. We dissolved, actually, part of my duties was to, after my children were being actually abducted, and this is part of that whole, what you're hearing about Epstein Island and the, you know, I know you interviewed the 2 girls actually recently in the last 2 weeks. So a lot of our children were taken in through harvesting, abduction, sex trafficking on and off this planet. We're now been told that a lot of these children are also soul harvested too. So they were actually removed out of their bodies, or avatars per se, and taken for, whether it be Orion or up into Saturn, things like that, or into these deep underground military bases. So I actually was one of the ones that actually gave Gene Decode the actual maps that he had almost close to 2 years ago, because I had him meet with myself and someone, former Sergeant Patty Broussard from the U.S. Army, that was part of the Freedom Team. And Patty was responsible for bringing back the looking glass technology, so the coronavisor and all that type of thing, and did some contract work to NASA as well for the computer space lab. So I found both of them to be, what do you want to say, embellishing, untruthful, and not in truth. And from there, I'll just sever all ties, because that really is treason to the clan mother for what they have both perpetrated. Because where we assumed children were safe, we found out that they were not. They were misleading us. So it's led us on a whole slew of different operations. So mine's just not just child protection, it's water protection, it's land protection, air above and below in here. So I get briefed as well, because I was one of the few people that was standing up in the courts 20 years ago, you know, against these, you know, the black craft priesthood. I knew what the bar was. I knew what all that was, you know, for my diligence in trying to protect the children. I mean, I had my arm actually broken, you know, by one of the, by Trevor, one of the sheriffs in Saskatoon at the provincial court. So they've tried everything, you know, on us. They've tried to throw us in jail. They've tried to do everything, and they can't break our spirits. So part of that is learning what we're supposed to be doing. So if you go to tribal laws, Meredith Quinn. I think you'll find, and Eagle Clan, because we see those eagles all over the CIA and everything. This and it comes down to these 13 clans. So they may have had wampum belts or peace pipe treaties, but they may have had Solomon seals for all the tribes of Israel. So again, or the Palladians had the Palladian choice. So those 6 treaties are outside, way beyond, and there's close to like 11 or 12 of them, obviously, for each one of those nations, not just some weird Granada treaty people think Eisenhower screwed around with. So in 2013, just to let you know, I went to Kamloops, otherwise known as British Columbia, because Queen Elizabeth had allegedly slaughtered a bunch of children here. And Dean and I are very aware of this. We live in this, and him maybe not so much, but he's close to some of the tribes there by Penticton, where I slept in so many teepees and been with so many, the original matriarchs. So we don't use the word.
Sorry, Karen, are you familiar with the story of the Queen in Kamloops, Charlie?
I'm not, but I am now.
Okay, well, she went for lunch with, what was it, 11 children, Karen?
There was a lot of children in Kamloops. They went on a royal picnic. And
yeah, they went on a royal picnic, and that was the last that they were ever seen of.
Right.
Wow.
And
yeah,
so,
this is Kamloops. This isn't the middle of nowhere. This is a big town.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a big city there. Actually, it's where the waters confluence there. Actually, I arrived in Shwetback. I'm a Shwetback girl. I'm out of the mountains. So I arrived, again, I don't use birth certificates, that's their kind of thing. But, we'll just say I specially appeared by a Stargate there by Kamloops in 1964. So when Queen Elizabeth came in October and I arrived in January, she arrived technically into a clan mother's territory. And she killed those children. So I figured one day there's no statute of limitations on murder.
Correct.
On the international.
Not in natural law.
Yeah. So I went into Kamloops. I first talked to my cousin after I had all my documents there. I just needed to get some photocopies done at his thing. So Sean Buckley is a very well-known lawyer in the natural health protection and in the criminal courts in British Columbia. So I went to his law office and said, "You don't work for her anymore. I'm dissolving the trust. I'm dissolving everything. And they are illegal aliens here. They are enemies to the clans and the tribes and our nations." And from there, I went in to meet with Staff Sergeant Mike Savage from the RCMP, who was actually an uncommissioned officer from the military. He thanked me profusely because his Indian name was Tatanka. I said, "You're a buffalo." I said, "It's okay. I'm a little wild savage too." I said, "We should get along just great." So from there, he thought it was what he was big. He was big. So, but I was taken previous to that because I had met with all the international tribes at something called Protecting the Sacred at Lillooet. And it was a hereditary intertribal, international event that they had been prophesizing and praying about for years and seen in their visions. And so I was there to fulfill that. And so what happened is when I met with them, they took me to what's called Dead Man's Vignette. And Kevin Annette, who's done a lot of stuff trying to do these international common law courts, which are not going to go anywhere. And again, I've met with Kevin and his wife in Vancouver Island many years ago. And the actual children's graves were there. So they took me to do a clearing and blessing on these graves, as they will bring me in, let's say, Marilyn James in the Sinaiac territory, or up here, Jinjakote, or, we'll go out and do water blessings or land blessings, or to clear some of the stuff in the residential schools with the disarcanate spirits as well. So whatever people want to call, I don't like to call it exorcisms per se, but it's really more about a blessing and bringing things back. So that's really what the role is. And a lot of people assume they know what a queen is, but the queen, actually, we put in a planetary eviction. I had my people actually go into the inner city of London at that time, and we had the proclamation put through on the Lionsgate Day, by the way, in September, and it was received completely by Paul, the Postmaster General, for her. And from there, she left, and she was actually in the United States for several years till Donald Trump came in. So we do have some amount of, we have power when we need to wield it. Right now, my thing is to get, the children. That's foremost on all of my mind, not just my children, but for all the children in here. So I've seen it firsthand. I've been a nurse for 40 years. And that is actually what I want to bring. That's my gift of healing, speaking in tongues and a few other gifts and fruits, but as Dean knows. But I think one of the best things we can do, and I just did a testing on you, and for anyone, it's very, very, very simple. Ryan Williams developed it, and he made this wonderful app. And I was just saying, I have in the old days, we had 30,000 heavy duty equipment and, just like hospital monitors when I was in neonatal. And now we can just chunk it away. It's my bookend right now.
Yeah.
$30,000 bookends. But anyway.
Yeah.
But what Ryan was, serious. It's like ridiculous. But right now, anyone that actually does have a phone, and this is where the law of gifting comes in. And this is how we're going to bypass Health Canada and all the other countries. It's an app. And it's for free. It's a law of gifting, like barter. And so what we can do is we're going to give everyone at least 2 weeks free. So they can totally download the app. I will put one caveat on, is that it's going to say entrusted. And you, as anyone would know, what a trust account is. So we're dissolving the trust accounts, which means it's going to say untrusted, and that's totally normal. That means that the lawyers aren't getting a cut of it, and that's Apple whining that they're not getting paid. So we're just going to ask you to go into your general settings, go to general device management, and just install the possibility wave there. So that's the one thing I just want to do next. I want to avoid any other questions. So Ryan developed this at Genius Health Insight app, and then we do it with Dr. Ariel Pelicano, because she's our lead naturopath doctor and colon hydrotherapist as myself. And we want to have some fun, because this is where the fun begins. So we do have Star Trek technology. This has been not just scalar waves, bioresonance, BioRife. It's got a custom Rife. You can just get the Rife app alone. You can just get the wearable stuff for the 5G right now. We have all that technology. So for 4 years alone, we've been just probably about 20,000 of us around the world have been basically getting all the, herbs, minerals, anything gathering, forged, and actually imprinting them in here through sort of a Tesla coil plate. And that way we can replicate it or duplicate it. So to me, this is kind of the beginnings of before you get the regen beds. We've got to be able to have your frequency up also high enough to be able to go through some of these, because they're different kinds, and I've been made aware of them. Okay, and there are different kind of light and plasma technologies for different modalities. I've had several of my clients go in them, but again, up to this point, it's pretty well for the space program or other people at this point. So we'd like to see that coming through, especially for the children, as they need to be reintegrated back after they're being put back together here. So anyway, I just wanted to say how simple it is. You can also go to Genius Biofeedback app, and Dean's got also, he's got an affiliate thing, or anyone can contact me. We both are able to do, after you've been doing it now about 4 or 5 months as well. Both of us are capable, as anyone is, within 15 to 20 minutes, you're doing your own therapy. You are non-dependent on the hospital system. I'm the first one to say no vaccines. This can make water remedies that will replace anything. And that's when
I've got to say, like, this is 100% no joke. This is a good portion of what we've all been waiting for. Okay, this is for everybody right now. This is I can't emphasize enough how much it's done for me personally, and I'll tell you a little bit about it after Karen finishes.
Oh, you can go right ahead. I'll just follow along.
All right. Well, many years ago, when I was a kid, 12 years old or so, I fell out of a window, got pushed out of a window. I landed on my butt in the sitting position and crunched 4 vertebrae. Being a tough kid, I didn't pay much attention to it, and they fused together until I became a young man and figured out why I was in such pain and agony all the time. And basically, that's what happened. The end result was I was in pain and agony all the time, like all the time. But eventually, I dealt with it, and I sort of converted the pain I had into like a hot, vibrating buzzing that was just sort of always there. It was no big deal. I managed to live with it. However, working with my hands and body for a living all my life. Occasionally I would do something to hurt my back. And then when that other part of my back was injured, the original injury would come back. And I mean, I would be like down and out, maybe for a day, maybe for a week, but it's a pain in the ass. And I think I had about, it really wasn't very long with this thing playing, man, like maybe 3 hours on the long side of this thing, just playing in the background, right? You tune it in and you press the play button and you just have it going. And my constant pain is gone. My constant pain is gone. And it's been more than 30 years of always being there.
Wow.
I'm not kidding, Charlie. I've seen chiropractors galore. I've seen physiotherapists. I've seen like the sports doctors that are like, oh, you know, this guy, he's a sports doctor, you know, feel all the same result, feel fine for, you know, I feel pretty good for a couple of hours until I bend down to tie up a shoe or pick up a wrench. And then it's just back to the way it was. I mean, I'm good to go. I'm good to go. I mean, not only is that pain not there anymore, but I mean, you can understand how much better I feel, how much easier it is to be positive and carry on properly. This thing is no joke. I want everybody to try this thing, like everywhere. Like
if you have a positive mind, then your body becomes positive, and you can fight off any virus or germs or anything else.
Absolutely.
Your body can look after yourself. It's 10 times better than we ever give it credit for.
Right.
Completely, which is why they have gone through so much effort to poison our food, our water, our everything around us. It's exactly the reason why. If our body is sick and unhealthy, there's no way our minds can be their potential.
There was one fact that I picked up yesterday, which I thought was absolutely beautiful. In 2020, more people died from obesity than COVID-19 coronavirus, and they fixed the figures.
Yeah.
But they didn't shut McDonald's.
Yeah, exactly.
No, they haven't put up any warnings on their doors, have they?
No, there's no social distancing in there. Come in and get fat.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
There's the human like DNA factor in there and stuff too. And aside from like it's all GMO, but don't get me started. I'm in the Monsanto like headquarters over here by the University of Saskatchewan.
Okay.
This is where Percy had all the Monsanto lawsuits. This is actually what we're doing. This is what the immune system is. Okay, it's a form of pulsed, energetic, magnetic. We're talking about magnetic resonancy, and that's what the genius is going to be doing here. Okay, so you've got to be in sync. That's not exactly, it should be a little bit bigger, but that's exactly why they want everyone 6 feet apart.
There's your biofield.
When the two people mix, right? So that's it. So for example, if it's all normal and everything's all healthy, it's going to be looking all hot pink. So I look like a pink flamingo, probably about as pink as this, not purple. So once we open up the other chakras above and below, well, then it should be actually like a fuchsia, like a rosy, sort of a pink thing.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're going to see the, the seventh chakra, then you're going to see like, your purple and then the blue and as things come in. Okay, so I'm looking at it like a grid, like I read faces when I read iridology or I do reflexology or Vitaflex. Again, it's just another field. Inside out is outside in. So this is a great book by Bryant Myers for people that are standing. And this is going to be what we're going to do. So again, in a simple form, that's the ship right there. And that's what we're going to be measuring, everything inside and out, an electrical grid. So we're going to look at the Faraday cage and see if it's up or not. Your shields are up. And then what I'm going to do, and that's going to be why I'm going to be talking about yoni, vaginal, or for men, lingam or prostate pelvic floor steams, aside from the aphrodisiac part of it. But that's why, because we're going to talk about biofilm, which is something I just picked up. So very quickly, once you download the app, and again, it's untrusted and do it that way, or if you forget all of mine and Dean's or whatever links, just go to Genius Biofeedback or look at the inside
we've got it covered galore.
Okay, so what you're going to see is a voice. And what we're going to do, we're just going to talk into it. It's going to be your 15 seconds of karaoke fame. And it will say to say A-E-I-O-U, but I like to hear a bigger range
Yeah.
of sound and resonance. So like a nurse, I used to use a stethoscope, or we would use ultrasound, like a Doppler, to listen. This mic can do that kind of thing. That's why it's MIT with crystals and all sorts of cool things in here now. So all you're going to do is you're going to hit the mic. And what I like to hear is singing or tones, your day of atonement. This is your day of atonement, by the way. So it's do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, A, E, I, O, U. Because if I was going to do the seed sounds, it'd be like the yum, rum, lum, hum, boom. Okay, most people don't know that. So, otherwise, just have fun with it.
Mm.
And if you're going to try and do it for someone else and you think they're going to be hesitant, just take it anyway. The great thing is once someone's voice has been recorded, then all you have to do is play it back, because now we're going to analyze the voice. So it's got a 15-second record, a 15-second rewind. And then from there, the next thing will be the picture, and one thing you would just have begin analysis. So I'm actually doing me on this one. I have 4. I have 5 devices in this place. One for me, one for the children, and I'll do a client. You can also do pets and animals, by the way. This is great for children. It's also great for long distance. Okay, so those of us, and again, you've got to be kind of careful. We've been working out different things because of also with children in the deep underground military bases, or for special military, for special operations, because we have to do that slightly different for them. But then there's going to be a picture. You just hit in here, take a picture, take your selfie, and it's pretty easy to do. We can't screw that up. And you can do it with or without the voice, with or without the picture. So when my clients are in comas, for example, in hospitals, which I've managed to get out. So when people have been, in diabetic MRSA, which is very similar to, by the way, the corona effect, we've been very successful in doing this. So I will actually do this, analyze the herbs or the oils that the client needs, and send the relatives in with it. And oops, they're out of a can, a harvest thing there. So it's kind of fun to do. And so more importantly to me is getting the answers, what herbs you need, what oils you need, and everyone is coming down with biofilm or limes. Almost everyone right now lately, especially if they've been misdiagnosed, which everything is a misdiagnosis anyway. They do that. So once you, put this in, all you have to do is begin analysis, and you're going to be testing over 30, 40, 50,000 things, because the libraries keep expanding. Every therapist has their own group of libraries. So with me, I went to David Wolf and I said, hi, I'd like a sample of all your chocolates. And he's great. Him and Steve handed over. And I'd go, can I have that new nano silver that you got? 20,000 parts per million, David Wolf? Sure, Karen. Okay.
So now that's in there too.
Activated charcoal, cobiter, all that kind of stuff. So those are the type of things that you don't have to go pay $150 or a zeolite bottle. I have zeolite in here, so I can actually replicate it into a glass of water. So really the water is going to be the life-saving medicine. It's really simple. And then there's one thing you can see, it just says balance, and that's it. You've testing all the different categories within seconds, and it will come up with the sound for you. So those can be actually transferred, those sounds, into you. Now, shall we look at your colors and see where you're going with this?
For sure.
Okay.
I love being a guinea pig.
I love having
you don't want to see Karen's colors.
What, you want me to show them? I'm pretty, as red as that wall is back there, I'm actually probably that pink. Actually,
I don't doubt it.
No.
And you'll understand why this is so impressive once you've measured your own a few times and you're like, why doesn't it look like Karen's?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's like, what's it supposed to look like? Here's someone just, there's someone that's fairly highly spiritual too. You'll start seeing the 5th, 6th, 7th dimensional beings and up.
Yeah.
And that would be one of my clients here. But you can also see, for example, when I broke my knee, well, here's one, for example, with someone with anxiety, depression.
Oh, wow.
Liver, gallbladder.
Yeah.
So you can see it. It's not just an aura. Remember, look at the grid that I gave it to you with.
Yeah.
But, you can start getting into some really, really hot, beautiful colors. And remember, this is how they see you from the space station. Okay. There's someone with inflamed neck problems.
Okay.
Okay, so it's pretty easy once you get the hang of it, like on how to look at this type of thing, and it's pretty cool. So
has it picked up on my sleepy eye?
there is some pretty cool stuff here. I'm just going to show you as well.
Well, she'll tell you.
Yeah, and I'm going to show you actually one here. I showed this on a show. This was actually my father before he passed away. You can see all the brown in there, the biofilm, and you can see the red inflammation. But you can also see that there's green in there, and he wasn't quite dead when they harvested him.
Wow.
Now, I released a lot of this stuff with Judge Alfred Weber, who's a colleague of mine. Judge Alfred Weber has got something called News Inside Out and did all the exopolitics and was a former lawyer for Jimmy Carter. But he's into all the exopolitics stuff and the time travel. So he also has developed something called peaceinspace.org, and he's setting up templates so that they can hopefully go after these people, the cabal in the international courts for crimes against humanity. He is a war crimes judge out of Vancouver.
Yeah.
He sat as a tribunal judge, but that was one of the ones I showed to show that these people are not clinically dead when they're being harvested for the adrenochrome or the organs. They're being given drugs, which basically just slows down everything enough till they can harvest them.
And they're taking just anybody. It's anybody that's susceptible, they'll take them.
Yeah, but what you're seeing in there is the biofilm. That is also the chemicals and that brown sludge or like black goo. So once it gets in the system, people can't breathe. Okay, so it's part of almost like that black sentient goo stuff too. We're seeing it come out of the clients. So we'll just take a quick look at yours. I won't give anything major. We'll just keep it really general. And anything private, we have to do one-on-one anyway. So that's why I do Facebook, I do whatever, Zoom, I do Skype, whatever it takes, phone calls. So in here, one of the things we want to have is a list. And I made these 100 and some items in there. So it's going to be everything from, might be a neck out, an acupuncture meridian, the herb, the oils, an emotion that needs to be dealt with, maybe childhood. So we have things from past life. We have entire protocols now for what's called sexual abuse and ritual abuse, because we've seen a lot of that obviously with the SRA, with this type of thing.
Yeah.
So that's what the steaming is going to be. So all those wonderful things are going to be blasting to you. So when I actually looked at that, and anything red means let's go look at it. Doesn't mean it's bad. It just means pay attention. So that's gone through all 7 chakras. So the numbers are going to be above 600-700. So there's just like the Hawkins thing on this one side. There's the other one on the other. So that's why you don't have to be a doctor, thank gosh. I'm trying to undoctor people. They always want me to go up to the reserve, and they're just used to going, oh, come up here and doctor us. I said, how about I start undoctoring you guys? You know, so anyway, you can just open any category you want. So let's say if you want to go, it says the chakras are out. Maybe we need a chakra alignment. So we'll actually tell me the blue ones will be very little flow, or the red are in a hyper. So it's either hyper or hypo. And all you have to do is hit one button at the bottom here. And right there, you're already starting therapy. If you want volume to it, you want to have the solfeggio tones to it, it'll start creating those waves through to you. So we can triangulate people just as well as they can.
Right now, about 70% of your viewers are going, whoa, I can feel that.
Yeah, yeah. If they're empathic and sensitive, they should be actually starting to do it. So I'm keeping it on the background. Yours and mine are both going to be pulsing here, glowing.
Also, just for people that are watching this, I'll put the links down below so that you can find the app, and also you can know exactly how to load it. So,
There's the sacred geometry too. It should be like a bubble around you, and you can see where they get broken. Okay, that's what the attack of the 5G is for, and the 4G, and the 2.4, and all those things. So they're coming at us. But again, if you're taking prescriptions, which means pharmacin, and you're taking a pill, or you're taking the PCR test up there with the other nanotechnologies and hydrogels getting up there, you know, I'm hearing there's at least 6 nano devices up in there right now. They're going up into the optic nerves. They're swimming all over the brain. They're able to actually get in behind the optics and actually be a transmitter and a receiver and a microphone. So the nanocheck is one of the most highest ones we have ever seen for a radio frequency identification chip.
Wow.
And I'm looking at something that I'm going to try doing on my end to do with seeing if I can crack some of these codes at 900 watts. You know, unfortunately, one of my guys, Michael Chapala, just died in Mexico, and I see Santos Bonacci is doing some stuff too with electrical magnetism stuff as well. So we're going to be trying to use some of this as well. So it's not just the test, but when you put anything metal into you, you're getting fried. It's just like swallowing a magnet. And then these external microwaves are being, you know, put on people. So all my clients are getting Faraday cages. I teach them how to put a smart meter shield on, because every house I've tested for, it's coming through the phone lines worse than it's coming through the smart meter grid. So, I mean, we were all going for the Faraday cages, and I'm putting smart meter shields everywhere on here on the reserve. And I tested, and the phone lines are worse, you guys. Okay, so it's like that scuttler thing. So anyway, we could play traditional Chinese medical physician too. So it will tell me what meridians are out. Is it the governing meridian? You know, is it the lung meridian? Is what meridian? So again, these will be the symptoms in the blue. And then these will, you know, like I said, root causes down here, symptoms up here. So again, you can open anything up, which is very cool, because now you don't have to go to the traditional Chinese medical doctor and get stuck with a whole bunch of needles. You can do it through sound. So this is like sound acupuncture. And this is
wild.
So you can just pick it up and start doing the whole acupuncture meridians up and down, which I love doing.
It's amazing.
It's more fun for me to put oils on my clients and marinate them with my friends and give them massages, but that's the next best thing.
Yeah.
So that's what they call now sound baths. So it's not just diffuse solfeggio tones, which most people have heard of, or Royal Rife, or going through that. So there are some of the ones that might be more beneficial for you. I don't know why everyone wants just to play 528 or 432 when you've got thousands and thousands in the spectrum. So again, we could just give you a solfeggio tone session. But most importantly, what I see is in the aura. And again, I want to bring it up a little bit more because
Charlie, you got no soul. What the end record?
So we've got to get that up just a bit, because I just want you to think about the grid. So I'm taking this grid and I'm superimposing it here. Okay, so again, it's not fully functional. And we got to get up a little bit higher. We want to be into that 5th, 6th. And I agree with my colleague who I did stuff at News Inside Out with, is Dr. Robert O. Young. The urine on the pH has got to go to 8 to 8.4. It's like, which chakra do you want to live in? So for those people, that's what I've been doing at home actually, is getting them to get their litmus paper. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, I can go through that. Now it's what it's screaming for. I guess I must be psychic, is your essential oils. Those are like muscle testing, only you're taking the subjective part of it out of it, because it's just Charlie doing Charlie, because he says, I'm just Charlie, right? That's just Charlie.
Yeah.
I'm not involved in that. Dean's not involved in it. We don't have a doctor involved in it. You and the creator, you're co-creating with yourself. You're tapping into soul. So to me, this is like soul retrieval. I want to see which fragments or what parts are out. So in there, you know, we might say oregano or oregano. Obviously the gold stuff. And the reason why is because that's one of the most powerful things to stop a virus response. That's why my colleague who I was on a committee with was Dr. Gary Young. And also Dr. Len Horowitz was in our group too. I was his rep here in Canada for a while.
Okay.
So a lot of those things, the oils were designed by frequency for chemtrails. They were designed for sexual abuse and ritual abuse. So we have an oil called Sara for 102 hertz. If you're at cancer, you're going to drop into like below 46 hertz. And if they take someone like a child, when they molest them and try and kill them, they take them below 30 hertz so that it can jump in. And
see how that works, Charlie?
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's
lower and lower and lower.
Yeah. We're going to take you lower, lower, and lower. And it's really quite simple, actually. It's very similar to this chart here. Most people are I think they've seen these charts here. That's the, you know, a little different than the Hawkins power versus force, but in a state of expansion or contraction, acidity is contraction and pain. And right now they're harvesting anyone below 300.
Wow.
Okay, so we need to get you guys all up there. This is not a joke.
This is why they poison us. This is why they bombard us with bad news. This is why they feed us fear. That is why their biggest weapon is fear. Because if you are afraid, you cannot get higher, you cannot get out of it, and they're gonna come and get you.
Mm-hmm.
So in here, there's 28 separate pages. So you have 28 separate. It's like going to a spa.
Mm-hmm.
And this should be fun because now we have answers. We had lots of questions, but now I can answer them too. And we can keep making things. So just today I made some more, and yesterday I made some more libraries, which I'll share with Dean. And I like to do that. I like to share my libraries with people because some people charge, some people gift and barter between us. But I've made some really wild ones. So I actually took ticks out of Saskatoon because they were dumping them on everyone. You know, they have biological weapons on everyone, hitting the vectors, and they all got like 20, 30 infections now. And so what happened is I actually did one of these. I took the ticks, put them on the plate, made a remedy, and then used the water on top of it. And if you can imagine, I wasn't expecting this one. When they dug in here, it showed up coming out on the opposite arm, but in the same hertz. It's like about 450 hertz it came out. So It's not always what people think. It took, and we had to go in here and go after that and go with the hatchlings to get rid of the limes and Morgellons. So in here, there's an infection part. That's what most people want to see. And in this case, you're going to look for something that's either very blue, which could be dormant, ready to come to fruition, or it's on overload and needs to be looked at. In this case, it would be biofilm. So I feel like Ghostbusters, I'm a biofilm buster. Okay, this is high-tech black magic. It's satanic. But like anything, if we can pick it up, we have the ability to reverse it. So for very simple purposes, it's just like an opera singer that hits a high note. You can hit the high same frequency, shatter it. So we're actually imploding. So this is where it can stop actually the corona response. So you don't need a vaccine, which is really cool. I'm keeping dental things in here because you can take dental material for DNA and start doing DNA and regrowing stuff too. So which we've been working on as well. So in this case, that's what I want to talk about here. But what would be your allergies? What are the herbs that you need? So again, do you have to pay for everything? No. I could have every herb I want on this entire planet that's around here that we've done or about to do. And I just keep putting it into this nice little, basically notepad, which turns into then musical notes. And it's that simple. You just hit begin, start.
Everything is a frequency, right? Everything is at a specific vibration, and you can replicate these specific frequencies.
Right. So everything does have that. And people, I mean, I know most people with Young Living, well, they may or may not know this, but the oils were all designed to deal with the emotional end and the frequency by hertz. So many of us were trained in what's called emotional release. And that's actually where I like to specialize, is in the release of emotional patterns. So a lot of people, when you actually meet these supposedly psychics, mediums, channelers, you could be down here channeling the Zetas Reticuli and all of the Jesus stuff, or plating groups, or Ashtar Command, which is part of that particular groups. And that's what they want to harvest out. So those of us that actually are hereditary, Charlie, with our original languages, if I said, hey, ya, ho, Yahweh, hey, yo, chuck and skull, shwatmak, do you know what I said?
Not a clue.
Right, because you guys are visitors or lost, and you've lost your mother's tongues. Okay. Sasibo. Yeah, you read Tibet, but in there too. You know, mine were actually like white bears, so that's more like Anastasia, the Ringing Cedars of Russia. So my girls are all there, like, you know, little white Russian bear girls. But it's very, very important because that's going to decide. That's part of why you have to have original customs, uses, and laws, and that defines also sovereignty.
Okay.
Okay, so you just can't say you're sovereign. I mean, I've got sovereign plates. I get stopped by the police. I get stopped by the RCMP. I get stopped by the military, and they just laugh. I said, color's bright enough. Having a nice day. Did you need something? Do you want some spring water from Petrovka? What can I do to help you? Okay. But that's because they recognize I'm a sovereign, right? You can't pull this off. I mean, too many people get arrested, you know. There's a reason why we don't pay taxes. There's a reason why I don't have a driver's license.
Yeah.
And I've known this for decades. You know, we had Winston Schroed. I had everyone up here. So in here, this is all about you today, though, and whoever's listening. So what I want to do, a lot of people are very, very mineral deficient, or in this case with the biofilm, you're going to see this happening. They all turn red. Why is it red? Because it's on overload. Why? Because it's not being broken down and absorbed. So the hospital would go to give you a whole bunch of drugs right now if they got you in their lab tests. And I want to get rid of the biofilm to get the colon cleaned, to get the whole digestive, all 7 chakras. The digestive system starts in your mouth. So it could be mercury fillings, could be whatever, but they'll go into stuff with eyes and stuff like that. We can look at programs, whatever it might be. And one of the most important things I find here is I can look for 5G. I can look for all sorts of sensitivities, but I'm going to start seeing things up into the neck, inflamed. So there could be a low-grade infection. And this, by the way, when you start seeing red in the spine, I don't know if I told you this, Dean, but most of the vaccines, even from our age, and in here, that the actual vaccines store in the what we call the basal ganglion in the spine.
Still?
Mm-hmm. And that's why we developed oils and doing what we call aromatherapy or raindrop massage or aromatherapy massage. Yeah. Okay, so that we'd start bringing them out, because we can actually, I've had clients with double scoliosis. My chiropractor, I had my office with them. They go, "What were you doing to them?" They went and got the X-rays, and they changed over 5-6%. And straightened out his spine for alignment, because I would teach them alkalinity. I would at least educate them or get them doing some oils for a week or two, or whatever it was to bring them back. And there are things in here to do with the spine too, like all your different viruses, bacteria have a consciousness, right? And really, virus is just it's the poison. Is it glyphosate? Was it DDT? Is it what the flip did?
Which one is it?
Yeah. So in here, what a lot of people like, Charlie, is also just to go in here and have a quick little spinal thing. This is really great for opening up Kundalini too.
Throw a chiropractor trip in. Yep.
So there is a block root chakra. So I would just go here, coccyx. Yeah, root chakra. So that's part of what it is. So if I can try a little experiment with you, if I may, for just a minute, and we're going to let everyone in the audience try this. So if you've got a glass of water, play this, or if you don't, what you can do is when you do on the record here, you guys, I'm going to play it for a minute. And what you can do is put your glass of water between the headphones. So I want you to also taste the water.
Yeah.
You taste the water before we do anything to it. Oh, that's cool. You got a cobalt glass. I got your on there. So we're going to try this. And if you have a sip before we start the experiment, go right ahead. And what we're going to do, even though we get to all play Charlie's frequencies, and we're going to put some willow in here and holly and some really nice Bach flowers.
You want me to have a sip of the water?
Yeah.
Have a taste. Yeah, how it tastes. How does the mouth feel?
Oh, shit, it was vodka.
I was wondering about that bottle.
No, it's water. It's water.
It looks like Finlandia to me.
Exactly.
Okay, cheers. Bon santé, to your health. Okay, we're going to just do this, and we're going to have just a little 1-minute meditation. So we all need to have a chill out period here. So I'm actually could just run this for 172 items now. I'm going to go over, and I'm curious. I just want to see what floats to the top here. So it says 963 perfect circle. There's been some dark forces and some sorrow. We're going to go from the triple heater 13, some strontium, and then it's got some noje. So this is actually what it will show you when you go into this entangled insight progressive. So I'm just going to check them all because I just want everything, all 170 some. And you can keep seeing them in order of priority, because then you can see what herb or oil or whatever you want to do. It's right in there. Noje is like sulfidral tones. So very simple to do. But what I came up here, which is what I saw initially, is dark forces and stuff. and some soil. We've all had stuff. We've all been through this trauma here. And there's some congestion. And then I'm going to go into specifics. So if I want to go into organs and start looking at eyes or ears or cochlea, I can keep layering it down. But this is just the surface for today. And I don't work. And I'm not a light worker. But I sure like to do this. And that is to play. So are you guys ready to play with me? I need more playmates. I need nothing, but I was going to say, let's have some playtime. Okay. So that's all you have to do. So we're just going to listen for 1 minute, all of this. And we're just going to close our eyes. And if you got hands around the water glass, it will also be picking it up. If you got headphones, it's even better.
Yeah, put your hands on the water.
So it's really normal that people start noticing sometimes some tingling. Probably about most of people do, 95%. If not, sometimes with the biofilm or prescriptions may interfere with that. Mercury fillings occasionally, but for the most part, I'd say 95% start noticing something. If nothing else, they feel lighter, more space, and they feel much more peaceful because we're trying to settle things in. So I'm just going to stop that for a second, and I'm going to look at the libraries for you because that's something that I have special that's not in the beginners, but it's something we can get here. So something to do with some hydrogen. There's an immune thing that comes in here, and it talks about doing some steaming. It also talks about some stuff to do with the knees. So there might be something to do with the ligaments there. So I can start going into each organ, but right now it says it wants to open up something in the knees or the patella. So it might be even just the acupuncture meridians there and releasing things like that. So there's emotional stuff. Sometimes even if we are having that issue or our partners or our beloveds are having it, we can pick it up. So if I walked into the cancer clinic, I'd probably look like I have every cancer on the thing in here. So don't get discouraged. It's in the field. It's not internal. It's still sitting there. Or let's say when you were dealing with all the girls last week, we're hearing about sexual abuse and ritual abuse and stuff like that. It has its toll on us too. And so sometimes even just energetically, we got to clear that. You know, even if it's just people that we're dealing with, and a myelin sheath. So one of the things that says that as I better teach you how to steam, because most people don't know about a lot of the techniques that I actually do in here. So I could pick up anything. Sometimes things are inherited, and we call it actually miasms. So those are things we might want to look at, past lives, you know, whatever was going on, assemblage things. And one of the things I will bring to your attention, because I'm tired of hearing about HCQ.
See that?
Hydrochloroquinine. Quinine is actually a bark, and it's called shikona. So for gosh sakes, guys, if you got to go figure out what it is, it's called shikona bark. That's actually what quinine looks like.
Wow.
Boom.
Okay.
There it
It
is.
comes in powder, and it comes in tinctures, and I use that in my steam. You can put it in here. You can put it in a tea. You can do whatever, but it's all over there. So we're going to take a look at that. Let's have a taste of your water. And we're going to do one more thing here. And we're going to run those frequencies again. So if people are got their spidey senses, they can taste the difference. It's silkier, it's slicker, it's microclustered. And there we're starting to see some purple starting to come through. in the bottom end.
There you go.
So that's the start. So then now that the water's starting to trickle inside you, well, then we're going to not only do the water, but we're going to do you now. And I'll expect to see some more changes as it starts to fill. And that's how simple it is. It doesn't get complicated, more complicated. If you can run this, the rest of this is a breeze. I've got 4-year-olds that sit here and do it, and I got 8-year-olds that do it without any background in computers or tech. I'm not techie myself.
Keep in mind, Karen dug a bunch deeper than you generally need. Then, like for your average user, you don't need to do any of the extra steps digging into specifics, because you can keep going deeper and deeper and deeper, or you can just, the thing at the very beginning will basically pick your highs and your lows, push the button, and you're done and just let it play. Basically, you talk to it, let it take a picture, scanning it, and then press the play button. And then when you start to figure it out, you can get deeper into specifics, or if you want to target something specifically.
Mm-hmm. So if someone is having, there's a back section here called, I don't know if you've heard of Royal Raymond Rife. I think most people have a little bit.
It rings a bell, but it doesn't remind me.
Yeah, Hammond herd and stuff like that. There was another one called Hammer herd as well. What happened is that if you go to, actually it's really great, I like sending people to this, it's the TED Talks, but it's Dr. Anthony Holland. And what he showed is shattering the cancer frequencies, but they actually took all the cancer cells like leukemia, pancreatic, the most virulent stuff they could take, and it took them 10 years, but they listened to it on an oscilloscope, like the otoscope and stuff. And they were able to send a reverse wave instead of a microwave, but a radio wave, radionics, and they could shatter anything. So the simple version that we used in the hospital, was ultrasound for kidney stones.
Right.
They just didn't want us knowing that we could go head to toe and not need surgery. I have broken and smashed my knee into oblivion and my ankle at one point. And I did this without a surgeon. I didn't do any osteo with them at all. Wow. I did herbs, oils, and this. And I got into a point where I can go into being like breatharian, solarian, or just fasting or liquid fast. So I didn't take anything for a week and a half. And I went back into what we went into. Where did we heal? In our mother's womb. And that's what you are. You're just drinking water, salt, and urine. So that's all I did with this for a week and a half, and the swelling came down, and it literally rebuilt the knee.
Wow.
With the original holographic like template code back on here. So that's basically as simple as it gets. So I'm just curious as to what your experience is on your end right now.
Well, you're absolutely right. I did feel tingling in my fingers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's heart chakra, all that green. So the green to the blue, as we moved you a little deeper, is moving you up into the heart. So I would have expected this, your spidey sense, your heart's again.
Yeah, I've let myself down badly for the last 2-3 months for two reasons. Number one, I've been incredibly busy, and number two, it's been a bit chilly out there. But I've stopped doing my walks every morning of 10 kilometers. When I do that, because it's along the seafront and then up a long hill along the top, so it's amazing what a difference it makes to my whole body and my mind. And if I do my walks, I don't have any desire at all to have any alcohol or any bad things for food.
Right.
Whereas if I'm being lazy, I eat poor food, I pick, and I'll have a gin and tonic. Whereas if I'm doing my exercise, all of that just disappears. So it comes down to life choices and practices. And I've had to turn around to Tara and Lee and say to them, you're going to have to manage my diary better, because doing 5, 6, 7 Zooms a day, working 20 hours a day.
Yeah.
We've done the foundation work now.
Yeah.
We've done the hard graft. Now we need to guide people, because all three of us will be called upon for the next year or two to help people transition from darkness into light. Because we're very, very close now to a change in the financial system, in the whole world system. And there's a lot of people that have had a vaccination that will stick in the third dimension, that won't, because the vaccination will keep you in the third dimension.
Yep.
It won't allow you to move into the fifth dimension and above.
No.
And
They'll have their lesson somewhere else for 26,000 years.
yeah, and as a judge will always remind you, if you're in front of a court, ignorance is no defense. The information was out there, and they threw that one at me years ago. Now I can throw it back at them and just hope the judges got vaccinated.
Yeah.
A lot of them will be receiving their farewell.
They'll be receiving a shot of some kind.
There was a proclamation that I put through, and part of this had to cover with the vaccines, chemtrails, GMOs, because it's not a misdemeanor. It's not even a provincial, state, or whatever. It's an international offense. And in my terms, we don't have diplomatic immunity for them. So this is where they're going to get really screwed, because what happens is it's really an act of war. So that's where they can come in with the military courts, military police, special forces, and it's now treason and high treason, because we weren't able to do anything up till that point, and we're spinning our wheels. So that led me to being off the grid. So, I mean, I'm the first one to know, is I've told Dean, I lived for 8 years on gift and barter. I didn't even touch anything with the Queen's Head because I knew about the adrenochrome or the contracting and what the fiat currency was and what the birth. That was like decades ago for me. Mm-hmm. So I made that choice a long time ago. And I know that that was probably the freest I've actually ever felt. Every day is a gift. And when you're not tied to the financial system, and, you know, we're in the Kootenays, we could do that, you know, with friends, and we had, like, you know, solar, wind, microhydro. I've been through all the different community gardens and lived that way. That's the way nature intended us to be, you know, enjoying this. The transition from light to dark, I don't even like necessarily those terms. It really is a matter of being positive or negative. It's really a quantum measurement. This is the litmus paper. Everyone get it. It's called pH, or litmus paper. Mm-hmm. You simply pee on it. And again, everyone that's in supposedly with parasites in darkness, right? Actually, it's the other way around. It might be the Ark of the Covenant. It might be the light Luciferian thing. But in order to get from alkaline back away from the acid here, you're going to have to make this trip. And sometimes that's the biggest trip, as they say, from the head down here, the eagle and the condor. It ties into the pH of the foods. And this is what alcohol is. For example, that, or coffee, for example, will take 12 cups of water to neutralize. So I'm going to remove all this, the acid stuff. And Dr. Robert O. Young's got some of the best teachings for that. So is Marcus Rothkrantz.
Recognize those colors?
Yeah. There it is.
So whether this way, this way, I think the world of.
Yeah.
Good.
Marcus Rothkrantz is another great one. There was a him and Kara Brotman, consultants to the military. But I want to get into something fun, because the other thing too is everyone's having anxiety, which is an emotion. It's stuck in there. It's a piece of poop, guys. It's one cell stuck in that's festering, or you're reliving that moment in time. And so there are codes that we have different than NLP, tapping, that sort of thing, bars, whatever. Been there, done that, beyond Reiki. Right. Okay, so we actually have this kind of stuff, because a lot of those are actually cults, if you actually know what they end up doing in the higher levels, which again should all be arrested. So in here, we will have all the charts for you. Yeah. You know, feet here, Dr. Carolyn Mean. This book, its entire books are encoded into this stuff, like the Genius, like I just tested you for. Yeah. You know, what do we do for sorrow? What do we do for anxiety and addiction? We use peace and calming, or I'll do it, or have you tap with the peace and calming up here. You know, been there, done that. My father was a Molson rep. I know what alcohol's all about. But one of the things too, I wanted to show you is really simple things that most people have never seen. People have heard of suppositories. Well, I make chocolate ones. Mm-hmm. So we make white or raw chocolate, or just coconut oil, and put herbs in oil and freeze them in an ice cube tray. They can go into the rectum, and we don't have to be scared of it. It's just herbs or melt. People always freak out when I said this is a suppository and then I eat it in front of you. But everything I use is food, and it's all, you know, therapeutic grade, or, you know, edible. It's heirloom or heritage. It hasn't been bastardized. Organic is basically second class. It's kind of like a dirty word in my world, but anything, again, even stickers, most people don't know. They don't even know if you know that, Charlie, but there are things you can get with stickers here. And for example, all the stickers here start with the number 9 if they're organic. So they all have barcodes. Anything below a 9 Monsanto's been on.
Okay.
Okay, so that's really, really important. I have people going all the time and they can't read a label, let alone the ingredients on
You
a
know that
vaccine.
you know the lemon was my best ever find on my journey, don't you?
Tell me about it.
Do you know what? If you put it in the freezer overnight,
Yeah,
and it's got no wax on the skin,
correct.
and you grate it
Uh-huh.
and put it on a salad, it's 400 times more powerful than chemotherapy, and it's
That's
got zero side effects.
Guess
And
who else hates that?
Yeah, and Bill Gates tried to patent it 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
So
can't patent a lemon.
I know. Yeah, again, so what you're doing is, again, going to get it. We should be growing our own anyway to start with. But again, those are the ice cube trays to make those, whether it's the lemon or the aromatherapy. Also, you can get kits. I show people, some of these are multi-level, they're as long as it's therapeutic and it's edible, these are different ones here, or I get my own in Canada out of Banff at Navessence, doesn't matter, as long as you have the quality. But a lot of times these should be fun. They should be just marinated on you. And they can be taken internally and externally. So what I wanted to show you, aside from that one, is there's something called a yoni pearl for women. This is where you guys will just have to sit this out for a sec. But the yoni pearls are basically a vaginal tampon. And again, I make my own. But it's basically like granny had potpourri. It's basically like having a tea bag up your vagina, or yoni, as you say. And we'll be talking about that for women. It's called Red Tent Wellness, because the red tent is obvious for what it means. And there's also something called steamychick.com. So there's actually 4 schools of womb care that we've been through. These are actually what they look like. They look like a little raisin. They're filled basically with this herbs, very aromatic, and they're put in and inserted for 2 to 3 days and then pulled out. And this is done over a period of 3 months, except when they menstruate. And you would be amazed. These girls that have all gone tattooing, and they've all done their little nails, and they've all done their makeup that's non-organic or vegan. And you should see what's coming out the vagina now.
Wow.
Not menstrual blood. I literally have got colors coming out of it, like the blues, the greens, the whatever their tattoos are bleeding. And these are the girls that all want medical marijuana because they all have Crohn's disease, chronic pain, yada, yada, yada. Or they'll go for, microdosing and stuff like this, or go on dirties because they're disconnected. So this is something very simple that we've used. And I can teach anyone just to get a 4x4 gauze like this, put your herbs in it, like a teaspoon or whatever, fold it up and then just tie it up here. You can make your own version of it, but that's called a yoni or womb detox pearl. Most women have never ever seen this. And yet this is the most basic thing. And we've seen women that have got tumors, breast tumors, fibroids, cysts, sexually transmitted. And just like, you remember when they were talking, those girls the other day, everyone, telegony. I don't know if you know what telegony is, but when a woman or a man, whoever you slept with, the first individual, that's the strongest genes and genetics still in you. So when you have a baby, it's actually a combination of all those people you've slept with. And those are things that we're going to have to straighten out, just cleanse and tribes. So RH positive is not supposed to sleep with RH negative, nor am I supposed to sleep with someone that's in my own blood group. And there was a reason why they wouldn't let you get married till you had blood tests at one point.
Did they ever do blood testing to get married in the UK, Charlie?
I don't know. If I look back at my life, which has been an incredible journey, that's one of the very positive things of being in the religious cult that I was in, was that there was no sex before marriage. So my first night of married life was the first time I had sex. And if I lived my life again, I would do it again, even though I hadn't got a bloody clue what I was doing. Not a clue. But I would do it again, because what you've just said there makes my children feel even more special.
There is so many things people need to learn about. That's why if someone had to, I'll ditch all the science books. There's the most spiritual books. I don't know if you've ever heard. It's called Anastasia, but the Ringing Cedars of Russia.
Okay.
This is probably And those people that are in the spiritual communities will know what I'm talking about. It's actually done in a DNA code. So if A is 1, B is 2, and, you know, forget Jason Q. But there's a quantum numerology to the alphabet, which is not our original alphabet anyway, so I really don't care. But in English, which is bastardized, it's in there. So it actually does a DNA stimulation. And it will talk about the perestroika. It will talk about the ET alien agenda. It will talk about how these groups of women and men and children, because the clan mothers always appointed their chiefs or dragons. They weren't voted on ever. And they're starting to do that in Canada right now. They've actually taken some of the reserves over the women back and kicked out these guys for mischiefing.
Just talking quickly about Russia. I learned a big lesson yesterday that is hidden from plain sight, and that is that Vladimir Putin, who I have an immense amount of respect for, is a really seriously God-fearing man, just like Donald Trump. The media won't tell you that. The media won't tell you that. He is very closely connected to God. And I do like one of his naughty sayings when people say, well, you can't be because you've killed lots of people. He always says, no, my job is not to judge you. My job is to send you to a man who will.
Who does the judging. Yeah.
Exactly. But no, to learn that he was a God-fearing leader just came as a bit of a surprise, really, because the media would never put that out there, that Putin was a God-fearing man. And
you can't give him any sort of a positive light in any capacity. No. He's the enemy. It's Russia.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what Russia actually means? You know what the word is?
Go on.
Do you know?
No.
Okay. May I share? I love whole linguistics. I'm a decoder. Actually, I decode. I don't decode. But in the original language, Rus, like Vedrus, right? Like Ayurvedic, Rus, like skio and great, means to know. The people of the knowledge, the original keepers of the knowledge. And if you know where Atlantia was in the Atlantis motherland and the actual stories from the Star Nations, guess where they were around? Right in there. So that's why the original pyramids and all those things are in there. In the Siberian taiga, that's where you get those 10-mile-high trees. You've got a lot of sacred pyramids, all sorts of things that are kept underground there. Now, the other thing too is Mount Ararat was initially in the Tartarian mud flood area. That wasn't in Turkey, Iraq, and Iran. Okay, that was the Vedrus areas, which still belong to the White Bear Clan. Even Canada and all that area, around circumpolar, that's ours. That's why it was Alberta and the Siberian Strait. This was all Bear Clan territory, so it's all Arcturian. So that's why we still have original. And I use the words. No one's making a claim. You either have the title or you don't. And unfortunately, they have assassinated and executed most of the other clan mothers to this point, and almost all the tribe mothers again. Okay. So there's very few people that hold some of the knowledge that we have. But the Russian part that was so cool, and we would use the original word called creator. We would never use the word God, and that's going back into an old English, again, ancient, was black magic. It was like an Illuminati Masonic word. And the word actually translates literally to chaos. Let chaos take its course, or let evil take its course. So original peoples, we say, you guys speak with forked tongue still.
Now, it's interesting what you say, because we all know that there'll come false prophets, there'll become false gods. And the word God has been contaminated by evil. And you're absolutely right about referring to our creator. I've had this from a number of spiritual people who said, we use the word God very, very easily, and we have to remember that Satan and the Luciferian type mimic and try and make it look attractive. There's no point having evil looking evil. It's got to look better than good to get us away from good.
Exactly.
So cool that we have, this kind of stuff. And that's why I really encourage people to go back and listen to some original peoples, because they still have their original customs, usages, and laws. I was showing Dean that we didn't have contracts on paper. I've held stuff in the West Coast, in the Okanagan, and with the Nesquith bands and stuff where I was, in Schwetmack or Haida Gwaii or wherever I was, Squamish or whatever, those different things, especially the Sinaiacs. I lived in the Sinaiac territory, which was declared extinct, by the way. So, just like Gene Decode said, I was a hologram in a Draco, which I'm not. But I have lived with those original peoples that are extinct, that there's only 5 or 6 people that speak that language anymore.
Brutal.
So I don't speak anything well. I just have a smattering of each one. But the original actual agreements with the Dracos, they were on copper plates, Charlie.
Copper
And
plates.
I had to be there for, like, to verify that, because a lot of the people don't realize, just like they said, you know, Moses came down with plates. Well, Joseph Smith had some brass plates, and most of them were on copper, just like we did with the, you know, solar candles or the Aztec calendars. And Dean, I was just showing something to Charlie too before. I was just showing him the evergreen he was talking about earlier.
Oh yeah, they're all over here too.
They're all over here too. But I wanted to show you something too, that these are absolutely amazing, because people have never seen some of this stuff. You know, if I actually look at stuff here, you know, what the Bear Clan is, you'll actually start seeing, okay, why does it want me to do that? You'll actually see stuff, and if people are interested, I can get some of that stuff. You'll see the Bear Clan, you'll see the old light languages.
If you guys, the symbols around the edges in particular, if you're involved in any type of electronics, you just recognized most of them. Okay, those are ancient symbols that are modern day symbols for electrical components.
That's how you get rid of Trudeau. That's how you get rid of the Queen. You say, see that? Those were the copper plates I was part of.
Okay.
And they broke them and said, out of here. So our agreements were to 408 AD, called the Camel's Eye, or, you know, it's either to go to heaven, but through the Camel Padaris. That's right by Andromeda, next to the Ursula Major, which is the Bear Clan, next to Draco. So that's how we have the ability to.
I tell you, this is a Charlie theory. Okay. When the Queen left Buckingham Palace, as she was kicked out, as I believe, in March of April of 2020.
Oh, way before that.
Yeah, exactly. I personally believe that Philip probably died at that stage, and she was removed probably middle of the year. But I know that Donald Trump's mother always had a lot of respect for her as a person. And I've often wondered whether, because I know Donald Trump is a very, very clever businessman.
His mum's a McLeod. Yeah.
Yeah. And it wouldn't have surprised me at all if he'd said to the Queen, if you play ball with me, you help me expose all of this lot, then I'll let you leave a legacy, and we'll blame it all on Meghan for the collapse of the royal family. I've got a naughty sense of humor, but it seems to be playing out that way. The collapse of the royal family won't be anything to do with the Queen. It'll be Meghan Markle that brought them down.
That is kind of funny how they're focusing on the 2 newest.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, actors and trannies, but
yeah.
Do you know, have you ever heard of who Princess Rainey is?
Yeah.
Okay, well, if Elizabeth's not here, she's not going to be here either.
Sure.
And or any heirs or descendants. So that's the end of her thing, is she knows it here. So they have had replacements out here for years that I'm aware of. They've contacted me. So they were so nice to say, oh, I think I'll give you Canada back. And I said, oh, I don't think anyone signed it over to you. There's no papers. There's no break.
Back.
And I said, no, you can go. We'll just, like I said, they can be executed, which they will be. So there's things in here too. And this is where I want to get into having fun, because there's that part of it. But right now it's about if you have to spike your drink with something, do some aromatherapy, some peppermint or something, that's great.
Yeah.
And I promised Dean, I'm getting this thing steamed up here. That's where I took off to for a sec. I'm going to show you how easy it is to get our mojo back.
Okay.
Okay. Oils can be used in water, in maple syrup, which is a great thing. The other thing you can do is mix them all together, which is called raindrops. So you can take 1, 2, or 22, I don't care. And then just put them along here and then just massage them in. So if you're alkaline, it will be absorbed. If you're acidic, it won't. So because most people are acidic to start with, we put this with castor oil and then put a hot wet towel and it goes into the system. So if nothing else, on your feet. They can also go into the belly button with castor oil, called a castor oil pack, which you can drink too. But that is a very simple thing to start loosening up that thing, because you need to loosen up that biofilm that you got. And then I've got what's called black lemonade, which is also otherwise known as activated charcoal. So zeolite, this is another form, and then the high spun form of it is called carbon C60.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I've tested for stuff, and that's where coming into using the genus biofeedback, I can test you for everything. Even if you have a remedy, I can muscle test it this way through the genus. Because I will tell you, 95% of my clients are taking the wrong supplements.
Yep.
They don't need it, and it's a waste of time. So once I have it imprinted, and for 2 weeks, they can have it 24/7. They can do whatever they want. So once I have that, now is my favorite thing. I'm also a colon hydrotherapist. I specialize in decolonizing people.
Oh, good.
I like to get your shit out.
I used to go to Thailand once a year and have a 10-day detox, and I'll name the place. It's at Sumi Healing, and I used to have a detox morning and night every day for 10 days.
Was that your name?
Exactly. It was incredibly positive because it cleaned out my colon, which was absolutely wonderful. The only negative thing I'd say, Dean, is because your when your colon is super clean, when you suddenly get the urge to go to the toilet, the period of time from the receptors telling you need to go and the time of getting there is less than 15 minutes. When your colon's full of crap, you can last for 45 minutes without going to the toilet. When your colon's clean, the receptors are going, you need to go right now.
Is that right?
You've got 5 to 10 minutes if you're lucky, 15 if you're very, very lucky.
That's awesome.
But that's because the receptors in the colon have been completely cleaned out. So they're hypersensitive. And I didn't start cleaning mine for 50 years.
Yeah.
So they were pretty mucked up. And when people say, oh, I had a colonic, and you think, yeah, whatever. If they've only had one, it will do no good. It's only after about a week of having 2 a day, morning and night, that the real crap breaks down off the walls and comes out like, hard plastic. And it's the bubble gum you swallowed as a kid. And some of the stuff that's in there is incredible, but amazing, absolutely amazing.
So
I'm glad you said that.
I'm glad you're on board with that. Okay, so that's one of my best skills, and that's called decolonizing people. So it's colon hydrotherapy, and people don't really realize that this is actually chakra based. So this would be the root chakra. This would be red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. So literally our asses, the heads, your first and 7th chakra are actually connected on an energetic level.
Your ass is in your head. Your head's in your head.
That's why I have to do everyone's analysis here. And so, that's what we talked a little bit about. Whatever herbs you want to choose, you can muscle test or just look up yoni germs. And again, those herbs can be used for the colema or the colonic thing. That's about the pearls I talked about. These are the raindrop massages. Whatever we need to talk about, we can go into. You can get a hold of me or Dean or anyone else. I'm going to talk, there's a toilet bowl version. I'm going to talk about the steam here in a second. And you can simply just do it. You only get about 5 minutes, so it's better than nothing. But the doctors do this. This is in Teekum Spa. Don't think the doctors and the elite don't know about this, because they certainly do. And from cleaning out things like this, like I said, you can put straightening out the spine. We can see the infrared scans. I can do essential oils or herbs on your feet and wrap them with nice hot wet towels.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we're moving the chakras up. So again, this is another form of the scale, but I'm going to see the differences in the blood. And that's really what I want to be doing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the best ways I found is through the steam. And one of the things also I have too that's not quite the regen bed, but it's called an amethyst crystal biomat. And that's where I can see immediate changes as well, because that's a chelation bed. It's a grounding bed that we keep. But you talked about something very important, and that's the biofilm. One of the best teachers in that was actually tissue cleansing through better bowel management by someone called Dr. Bernard Jensen.
Mm-hmm.
Michael O'Brien happens to be an acquaintance of mine who saved his life. Because once you get on the road, like you said, you regress, and we all screw up sometimes. Now in here, that's exactly what Charlie's talking about.
Yeah, that's it.
Right? This comes out. This is in every one of my clients. I've had clients detoxing, doing oils, all the things I've been doing for 2-3 years. And I said, you really need to do this. So they broke down and they got what's called a Kalima board. And a Kalima board is actually a 2x4 board.
Yeah.
That you can get.
That's
This is
it.
the old, this is simple. This is the cheap version, guys.
Yep.
You all you need is a 2x4 that sits up there and you can look up, do it yourself.
Yep.
This is not going to be expensive here at all. But what you're going to start getting is all my clients that were diagnosed. And here's just a simple schematic of it.
Yep.
Okay.
It
So
just
what
uses
happens-
altitude for the pressure.
Yeah, it creates the PSI that you need, for example. But all these people that thought they had diabetes, Morgellons, all this stuff in here, it's feeding the nanotech and nanites and femites. If you listen to James Rank,
Mm-hmm.
and you start learning about what's going through ACIO and all that, nano is very whatever. It's the femites now, even worse.
Yeah.
Okay, sore feet, high blood pressure, all those things. Depression, this is it.
Your fingernails,
Arthritis.
toenails.
Doesn't matter if you got fungus. Someone's got fungus. I start going, oh my gosh, you're infected head to toe. You know? Get in here now. So anyway, what I'm going to do is it's just about ready to, I'm on simmer. So you ready for this one?
Yep.
I'm going to set up here. Okay, let's see how this sits here. Okay, in the back, you can see, there you go, Charlie. That's the $10,000 colonic machine.
Yep.
Yep. There's the
That-
arse pump.
Yeah, that's I'm a professional. Yeah. So is Dr. Ariel Pelicano. Okay. Now in here, what I'm going to do, now that I've got that set, we'll bring it back here. Let's try and see. There's actually a chair here, and it's got some steaming water there. And I've actually basically just put some water in here, about 4 or 5 cups. You can put a couple tea bags or loose teas like this. And that's what the hell they were doing smudging for. They were actually smudging with incense at one point, but you could actually do that. So if I go in, I don't know if you can see there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oops. Yeah.
No.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to get on that. And that's all you need is a chair, a stool, anything along that line. And that is actually going to start going internally into us. And that is the most amazing thing that I have yet to experience here. Talking about meditation. So basically, you're going to get your chair, stool, which you go to Red Tent Wellness or all that sort of fun stuff. I like to always add a couple drops of essential oils or hydrosol, but that's me. And all you do is you bring it up to a boil with the equivalent to about a 1/4 cup or whatever. And it's starting to boil now, as you can see. And I simply just turn it down.
Yeah, you don't want to be burning yourself.
You know, it's strategic down there. So if you're actually really well versed at this, you can actually just go straight over it, but you can stand over it and totally smudge. Told you I'd kind of wear pants today.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was daring me if I was really going to do this, and I am.
Yeah.
But what you would do, obviously, is not have any clothes on here. And
Yeah,
with,
you're gonna be
with your 7-inch hole here, and just like this, and let it literally vape up and cover yourself. This is actually what the lodges were. And this, as you start breathing, I've had people with stage 4 cancer, and I was dealing with corona response. It's the worst kind of corona that from the reserves up here. And I actually had them reverse it all. And it is the most incredible thing. When you've done this for 45 minutes to an hour, and I have lots of couples that do it, by the way, when they play bridge together at night.
Yeah.
And
just have to sit down.
yeah, it's amazing. It absolutely is. But I wanted to
Now-
show you different things. I don't know if you've been to different areas, you've seen
Yeah.
different kind of things all over. This is something most people haven't experienced or haven't tried.
Yeah.
And it's just water. So what I'm doing with my plate and that healing water that we made, it can go into there. You can drink it or use the frequency water through the medicine there.
Yeah.
You know, you can use it for your yoni steam or with guys' lingam steams or whatever you want. And of course, the other
Yeah,
thing, like anyone, they can go get an enema bag. If nothing else, there's no excuse why people can't go get an enema bag. It's beyond me.
and just start that
Yeah.
way.
Oh yeah, you can get the rubber ones, and you can get these like a COVID candle, or they're, rubber things, but just take off the end, and it's usually marked, or just don't put any further than 3 inches in from there. It's greased up. You can put your herbal teas in there, multi-use all this. And this is how you have to get that biofilm out, because that's what this black goo is. This is what's preventing everyone. This is the Ascension technology. This is how they're preventing that. That's a firewall. No one's going to get through the third or the fourth.
Yeah. Yeah, they could have targeted any part of the body. They could have put that shit. They could have done anything, and there's a very specific reason why the colon is targeted. Just like we mentioned earlier, if that part of you is blocked, the rest of you has no hope.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's how evil they are.
And that's how evil they are. Yeah, they don't mind doing it to every single one of us. It's a very simple way to do it through your food.
Yeah.
Here's another thing here. I brought in some salmiak from a company called Soccerbit. We gotta get the clean version. Otherwise, in India, it's called Nushador. It's like a black salt. It's
black salt.
Ammonium chloride. It's a little different than black salt, though. This is something like a salt block that you can bring in that activates the third strand of DNA. It's something the cabal happened to have made illegal. It took me a year to get it through Health Canada.
Wow.
Now, this is only $10. This will last me for like years, because it's like a salt lick. You can just take a little bit off, but they use a lot of it in Europe. But the thing is, almost everything's contaminated there. That's called Solmaki or Nushador, is what it's called in India.
And where can you get that from?
I've got the link if they want to get a hold of me, but it's I think eBay has now got it, and like they're almost all out of it. When we first announced that, Patty Broussard and myself, wow, I tell you, we got Soccerbit. They were carrying it, and they depleted everything on the States.
Wow.
So they don't even carry it anymore. Everyone's hoarding it. So the only one I can find, there's a couple things that says Nushador or Solmac. It will say whatever. I think 100 grams, $7, $10. You'll have to take a look. It comes in powder. But this is very, very important, because what it does is most people are bipolar because of the damage here, and it puts the third pole back.
Okay.
And then it binds it with the phosphor, so we can allow for that ascension. So very salty, but it's something that's really, really powerful. You can use also like, what do you want to call it? Soleil is what we usually call it, where you take either Himalayan or salts, but there's the actual rock crystal.
Wow.
Now,
okay.
I don't take this lightly. You know, when you've hit onto something, when I first got some of the first stuff from them, it was in a dome with linen, hand sewn, and with red wax sealed into each one of them. I was like, holy jeez. That's how
special.
sacred this it was very sacred. I don't know what they do now, but I think it was one of the first ones to find it that way, but it's an amazing thing. So again, we're using stuff like shaga off mushrooms, like very easy up here off birch trees. We go forage. David Wolf is amazing. He's the one that did the book on shaga, the medicinal kings here. But using very simple things like this to stick it in water. Watch the water all turn black, and just beautiful gin black water.
Yeah.
Very
it's all about going to your forest and your farmer's market, not the pharmacist.
Mm-hmm. And then my last
exactly.
Pistis resistance. This is called moxibustion. A lot of people, they may have heard of it or may not have. But you can do it with or without these cute little sort of moxibustion candle holders. But you can actually put a stick in here and put it on fire. It's kind of like incense. Or what we like to do it instead of just ear candling.
Yeah.
The best way, I've been burning entities out in there, whatever's Klingons, especially around the belly button for the sex block magic, by the way, that they've been using through their satanic rituals. You can actually get one of these things or just put it in the belly button like you would with the ear candle, or this is a holder. So you can actually push this through here.
Yeah.
And then light it on fire or do it in different areas.
Okay.
But the belly button will pull out just about as much as the ears.
Wow.
And
amazing.
If you can imagine, Charlie, what I did, Dean, I told you about this, but I had a client I was doing, so I did 2 candles one night and 4 the next. And she insisted we go to the store to get the next 4. But we did 2 candles out of her belly button. She could feel things pulling out of the jaw, out of the teeth. His shoulders softened, and she had like an abdominal mass. We'd been trying with colonics for months to get out. We couldn't. It loosened it up and softened it. It pulled. It was some sort of attachment, just pulled right through. So she insisted we go and get more candles. So we went and did 4 the next night for the next hour. Pulled out more stuff. Just was amazing. And then what I wasn't expecting, I got this idea I should do with some of my little shaman things around her. And I went with just the burnt candle around her.
Oh yeah, right.
And I actually heard sizzling, like something cracking, like, you know, when a mosquito hits the mosquito zapper thing. When I got to certain points, whatever it was, and was in there, you could hear it actually just ignite and crackle.
In that field.
We always assume, you know, it's like when you're doing Reiki or, you know, with Richard Bartlett, I did matrix energetics, much higher stuff. But in here, you know, or you're feeling like that denseness. And I was like, well, it's not only just dense, but we could actually hear it being burnt out.
Wow.
Those are interdimensionals we can't always see. We can pick a lot up with the genius because it's sound bouncing things back and forth. It's not a clean catch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But this was one of my favorite things. So, you know, the water, the steam has got different applications, but so does fire.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot to be said. You know, I've done fire walking with Gary Young. I know what it's like, you know, to go through that, but to actually take it and singe it right through was another technique that we started using. So
that's the difference.
We just have to have centers, I think. I think I'm almost already prepped for you guys. I think I got most of the modalities done. I know for years I was doing something with Patty Broussard because she had probably, I think, one of the best designs for enclaves I've ever seen. It was better than Area 51. It was better than the Hive, and it was better than Putin stuff. It was better than the Palladium stuff.
Okay.
Wow.
So I will say that. Bless Patty's soul for her designs. I don't know what happened to her last year, but whatever. You know, I just can't deal with people that are not, you know, truthful, or, you know, when children's lives have been put in there. But again, along that line, something needs to be done. And we're going to definitely require something here. I just got off the phone today with a call with Vaccine Choice Canada. There was a call with the lawyer, Rocco Galante.
Yeah.
And I know he was on that call with Dr. Judy Mikovits, Robert Kennedy, and Dr. David Martin. But I was listening to him and sent some stuff, and he just felt so hopeless almost. And all he says, I think we just better get silver and get the hell out of here. Like, I don't know how much is going to really work in these courts, right? So, but we have to keep trying every avenue that we have, and we just have to drill it down.
Well, to give people hope and faith, very, very simply, in the very, very, very near future, and the evidence that I can give you is it's already been submitted to the World Court in The Hague.
We did.
The World Court of Justice, and the revaluation, the global currency reset, and the quantum financial system, and it must be heard before the 1st of April. That's people can check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Between the 1st and the 6th of April, there's an awful lot of things going on that I can't tell you, but it will become very, very clear very, very soon.
I'm aware of it.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of people that will be panicking right now. I'm not one of them. I'm very, very relaxed because I know what's going on behind the scenes, and the whole team is incredibly confident behind the scenes. But they're just making sure that everything is in. I've sort of come back to saying everything that is humanly possible has now been done.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are now waiting on God, and it's his timing at the end of the day, or our creator's timing at the end of the day, as you would say. When people say to me, when's it going to happen? I said, well, if you get onto your knees and have a word with him yourself, I'm sure he'll tell you. Because it's up to him at the end of the day. Everything that has been humanly possible has now been done. And it's a bit like in the beginning of times, On the seventh day, he rested.
Yeah.
But at
Good.
the moment, we're in that period where we're waiting for something to happen, but I'm
Yeah.
certainly not stressed by it.
No.
There's a period of darkness at the moment where everybody is silent at this moment in time. And that's when you know things are happening, when nobody is saying anything at all. And when you phone them up and they go, Charlie, you know it's a blackout right now. You know that. Why are you calling me? I said, just to see if somebody turned the light on, really.
Yeah. Thanks for confirming.
Exactly. But no, I'm very, very relaxed and peaceful, knowing that everything is completely under control. Evil has been removed. That's not to say that bad isn't still out there. Bad is still out there, but bad is not evil. Evil has been removed. And so the period of threats and fear from outside forces and everything has now dissipated in my life. Not that I was ever scared beforehand, because I made it very clear if they wanted to kill me, it was good by me. It was fine by me, because I could go to my son. And that sort of spooked them out a bit, even when I offered to pick them up from the airport when they came to kill me. That spooked them out, to save them the taxi fare. I played them at their own game, you know, and they people that threaten you, Dean and I know are old school. If somebody's going to hit you, they don't come and tell you first. They whack you, and you don't know it's coming. So if somebody threatens you, they're normally a bully or a troll, and you don't need to be scared of them.
That's
Exactly.
Sure.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned something like that. You know, I thought of the times when I, stood up in the court for the children, and the, sheriff went and broke my arm and stuff. It's quite well known here in the sovereign movement or the freedom movement or whatever, the mom protecting the children or the organic nurse or the organic lady or whatever, but they try and do that. The minute I said I was a naturopath, same thing. Well, let's go to get her psychiatrically examined, right? So you end up in and then they kick me out because I was creating a disturbance in the force.
Yeah.
I was teaching them all meditation and yoga.
Yeah.
I was educating them into, superfoods, raw food, findaspring.com, all that sort of thing. And they kicked me out in 2 weeks. And I was trying to teach them about the bioterrain. I said the inner terrain, the pH, trying to deal with these people in the psych centers, serial killers, probably like whatever they were doing, now Carla Hamalka, we probably know was, involved all of that stuff, but they would let them go freely and then they'd lock us up. But one of the things I did get to see, in there, and they would just make it up because my ex, John Clark, who's a lawyer, Jesuit trained, by the way, doesn't get any worse than that in Chinese mafia. But in there, that's why they scooped the children up, was for the bloodline.
Yep.
And they did everything they could for 10 years, but they couldn't break me.
No.
I remember the sheriffs coming up saying, we'll help you, just keep fighting. Of course, they lied too down the road. But, you start looking at what the system is, how evil it is.
Mm-hmm.
Their intentions towards me, but they still couldn't break me.
No.
At that point, I was fasting. I learned how to be a breatharian for like 2 weeks. You can't touch me. I'm in a place you can't touch. I developed such incredible energetic psychic powers. They still can't figure it out. And, we're not going to tell them. Those are part of the gifts that we have. Because they want to adopt it.
All of their control. All of their control is by consent.
That's right. And they don't have my agreement. And
they don't have our consent. It's that simple.
There's no.
I do not understand. I do not consent. I'm a sovereign being. I had the joy of putting them right in the court of law in Spain, of reminding them that they were a corporation. Oh, they hated it.
Yeah.
The Dutch court hated it as well. I pointed it out to them. You're not a legal court. You're a corporation.
That's right.
And you can see them look at you going, get this prick out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I remember when they got to jail for Albert LeWay was so mad at me because I said, are you aware I cannot stand for you? Because first of all, it was, we want you to plead. I said, are you aware I cannot plead? What if I decided to enter, something else, right? And he goes, they didn't know what I was talking about. What if I enter a demurrer? I said, I'm not going to plead guilty and I'm not going to plead not. He goes, I'm not just not going to plead with you. I'm not going to play with you guys.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they got really mad. They'd have to go adjourn and go figure out what the hell they said because they didn't know it in their, because they're still
Sure.
in CJS. I'm doing international law. And I'm, that's when I learned about, I had to come off the system. Because
Yeah.
that's where I gained the power. It really was. And that's where the women have to learn you can't be monetary dependent.
That's very interesting. How do you plead? Oh, I'm not going to plead anything. I'm not going to plead guilty or innocent.
Yeah, and then they couldn't do anything with the cuss up, right? I said,
No.
You're not going to get anything. You're not getting money. You're not getting that. And they finally said, get her out of here.
Yeah.
But one of the things too that was quite the learning experience is it really, and no one, I wouldn't wish that I was maybe on your enemies, but no, maybe I do. But the difference at this time is because these people are all involved in pedophilia. They're involved in trafficking and everything else. And that is a death penalty.
Yep.
They're not coming back. And that's where we do have the jurisdiction to apply that to the special forces and military for the martial law. So that will have to be done. That's going to be part of the cleansing, and what the COVID really means. So those of us that know this should be a time of celebration where they're going to see the happiest of the happiest. And like you said, they're going to 3D. They will not be coming back here.
Mm-hmm.
No one will go through this reincarnation center. This will never happen again. And unfortunately, it had to happen to me and my children.
Yeah.
I could not see this happen to another child. And I've had to see some of the stuff that comes out of it, in the deep underground military basis. I'm the one that had Gene Decode doing all of Canada and the rest of the world. But then I was the one with Patty Broussard that got him all those ancient secret thumb maps that no one else had, that she had from the army. So this is the end of stuff. They've been at this for years. And like you mentioned, I had to deal with the Hague Court. We are the old Hags. That's, again, the World Peace Court. That's where the Peace Palace is. That's where I also have to file stuff into. And no one else can. People think they can make claims. They can't because it's bloodline related. And having said that, most people don't know that original clans and tribes are Rh positive. And there's a whole thing we did, 50 videos at Project Ascension if they want to learn about their genetics, but you can simply just go get an Eldon card, ELDON. It's a home blood typing kit. And for gosh sakes, don't give them any more DNA. Don't even test with them.
Yeah.
The military knows who they have to. They know who they need to deal with. This is, it's the Day of Atonement coming right now.
Sure.
There's nowhere to run.
Well, I'm going to have to take my little man off to school. And while you're heading off to bed, thank you so much for today. Dean has been a big part of my journey. He was there right at the very start. And I'm one of these old-fashioned people. I don't forget the first rung of the ladder. I'll never forget that because it's been a fascinating climb. But I was getting sniped at early, and Dean came to the rescue. And I still hold a very special place in my heart for Dean.
We've got some beautiful rays coming in there for you now.
Oh, look at the colors you got there.
Wow. Amazing.
Different. Wow, look at that.
We'll have more fun time, even just you and I talking if you want. You've got my email and everything else now, or if anyone else wants to get a hold of me, they can get a hold of me at clanmother13 at Gmail. And that's with a K.
Okay.
Clanmother with a K.
Well, I'm going to stop the recording now so we can just have a 2-minute chat before we leave. But thank you very, very much indeed, guys.
You're welcome, Sister.
Thank you, Shirley.